All right, fellas, let's go. All right, I want to welcome the show and just be patient. If it doesn't work out, the tech, we'll figure it out. I've got some other material planned too. I want to welcome from the Young Turks, an extremely successful podcast. I believe they've had a billion or so views on YouTube, and the guy who runs it is Cenk Uygur. Cenk, thanks a lot. We appreciate you joining us today. Thanks.
No problem, Dan. Thanks for having me. And yeah, the network has 29 billion views overall.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. So you got quite an audience. I saw you put out the genesis of this, folks, is Cenk put out a tweet, said, listen, I want a debate. Let's do it. And I responded. I was at North Carolina, and I said, he's probably not going to. And he did. Got back to us right away and said, let's do it. So we're here. So, Cenk, I told you I'd say everything up front and no tricks or anything like that. I want to start about, the tax debate. This is obviously a big difference between liberals, probably the Young Turks audience, and mine, the Dan Bongino show. I hear liberals make the argument for higher taxes on successful folks. They rarely make an argument for higher taxes on the middle class, although it winds up, in my opinion, being there. I'd like you to make the case. Why should successful people pay higher taxes, and why do liberals constantly say they don't pay their fair share? What is that actually based on?
Yeah. So it's a great question. A lot of answers to it. So first off, look, let me just express a frustration that a lot on the right and the left have about where our taxes go. I wish the government spent our taxes better, and then we could have a more fruitful conversation about where the level of taxation should be. But for example, the Defense Department can't pass an audit. Half the money, they're like, we don't know where it is. Well, half the money in the defense budget is like $400 billion. Subsidies to oil companies, subsidies to all of the friends of the donors of both Democrats and Republicans. Now, in terms of where taxes should be, well, there's some historical record on what's worked the best. I know it's going to shock you, and I'm not in favor of this, and it's the highest marginal tax rate. So things like people making above 10 million a year. When America built the greatest middle class the world has ever seen, in that 40-year stretch between 1938 and 1978, taxes for the highest marginal tax rate was as high as 91%. And when it was most successful, it was around 70%. So now the reality is that to us, that sounds way too high, right? And it sounds way too high to me. And remember, it's for every dollar above that marker of whatever it is, at 10 million, et cetera, right? And it's gradually goes up. The thing I'm most concerned about is corporate taxes, because corporations get everything. And both the Democratic and the Republican politicians shovel everything to their corporate donors, including giant corporate tax cuts. And that's exactly one of the things I hated about the Trump administration. A lot of talk about being a populist. I'm a populist. You want to be a populist? You want to take on the swamp? I love it. But he didn't do that. Instead, he did a giant corporate tax cut, brought their taxes from 35% down to 21%. It cost us $2 trillion. And what folks have to understand is that money's got to come from somewhere. That it's not magic. So when they take $2 trillion and give it back to corporations, that means they're going to take it from us. They're either going to cut our Social Security or Medicare. They're going to raise our taxes. They also raise fees. They raise regressive taxes like sales tax, gas tax, etc. That goes more to the average guy, more to the poor and the middle class. So what it means to pay their fair share is, hey, listen, once you get to a certain number, remember the highest rate, it doesn't apply to all your money. So let's say you're at $1 million, and can you pay 40%, 50% for every dollar above $1 million? Of course you can. Of course you can. And so, look, I know good progressive wealthy folks, and one of them I sat down to breakfast with one day, and he said, I don't get it. Why is my taxes not 70%? I mean, we can't spend this kind of money. It's impossible to spend, and we already do investments. Every good businessman does investments, no matter where taxes are. Right. Okay. So, yeah, that's OK. But we can talk more about it. Go
All
ahead.
right. Well, I think I want to let you finish your thought in full. I want to respond, and I'll give you the chance to respond to the response, and then we can jump on to another topic. So let me address each. I was taking notes as you spoke. I'm going to try to, again, minimize any interruptions. You're kind enough to join us. One of the first points you made was that, a very prosperous time in American history, the 50s, was when the top marginal tax rate, which you accurately stated, was 90%. That point is correct. But what you left out there is that 90% tax rate wasn't actually paid by anyone. If you look at the data, it was actually paid by far less than 10,000 residents. So you're citing a tax rate no one actually paid. It's like talking about a unicorn. It may be beautiful, but it's only beautiful on paper. It doesn't exist. So you leave that out. And then when you look at Hauser's law, named after a person named Hauser. When you look at the percentage of taxes paid by GDP, it's been steady over time, regardless if the marginal tax rate was 90 or 70. So on your first point about the 90%, you are accurate, but you're citing a rate no one actually paid. Secondly, you cited the 70% tax rate. How did we get there? The 90% tax rate, do you know who cut it? It was JFK. He was the one who cut the tax rate, citing marginal tax rates were too high and revenue was too low. That's JFK. You can look that up. It's not me. He was the one who cut it to 70%. Reagan then cut it from 70 to 28% progressively. Now, I want to make a point. I'm going to address a couple other things, but I want to go back to that in a second. Another thing you addressed is corporate taxes. And if you could address this, I'd appreciate it, Cenk. Corporate taxes are not paid by corporations. Corporations get their money from people. They have to, it's like saying that the government, raising taxes gets its money from like unicorns or Martians. Corporations get their money from people. So if you raise a tax on a corporation, they have to raise their prices in order to turn a profit and stay in business. And one last thing I'd like you to address as well is you keep citing these high marginal tax rates of 90% and 70%. But when Reagan cut the rate, and we actually have this if you guys want to pull it up. When Ronald Reagan cut the top tax rate from 70 to 28%, revenue to the United States government, which I don't want, Cenk, I want to be clear. You can argue that the government does good things with our money. I'm not even making that argument. I'm simply saying, even if your argument is accurate, that the government needs more money, therefore we shouldn't cut taxes, you actually should like Ronald Reagan. Because if you look at this chart here, you're going to see government revenue went from $500 billion to $900 billion after Reagan cut the tax rate to 28% because the economy grew and the government took in more money even at a lower rate. So I don't understand why you're arguing against tax cuts when even after Bush cut taxes, revenue went up as well. George W. Bush tax cuts, revenue went up by $700 billion. So address that and then we can move on.
Yeah, so let me address all the things that you brought up. So first of all, the reason that only 10,000 people paid the 91% tax rate is because, as I said, it applied at really high levels. So a lot of times Republicans talk about it as if it's going to apply to you guys. It doesn't apply to you because the highest marginal tax rate is at a monster number. Now, don't quote me on it, but that's why I mentioned the 10 million, like if it was in today's money. It was a giant number. So, in that bracket, that is what we're talking about. America helped you get there. All of us helped you get there. The roads, the bridges, the schools, the cops, the military, everyone helped you to get there. And if you're already at over $1 billion, et cetera, I'm not saying take all your money. I don't believe in that, right? So I'm not your standard progressive in that sense. But should you pay higher than what you pay today? Absolutely. And it showed that economically it totally works. You're right. JFK cut it to about 70%. I keep telling you, I think 91% is a giant number. I'm not in favor of that number. And I'm actually stunned at how well it worked, to be honest. And at 70%, that still sounds way too high to me. Again, it's for the highest tax rate. And again, the economy roared in that time. At 70%, we were building the greatest middle class the world has ever seen, right? Because it doesn't apply to the average guy. It applies to the very, very richest people. Okay, so in terms of the Reagan numbers that you stated there, look, that's a source of an eternal debate. The American population grows, other parts of the economy grow, so revenue's not just linked to tax cuts. In fact, Donald Trump said when he came in that he was going to get rid of the entire $20 trillion deficit magically by cutting taxes. And he cut corporate taxes, mainly corporate taxes, and he didn't get rid of the deficit. In fact, he added $8.4 trillion to the debt. There is no magic. When you give it to the rich, they take it and it's gone. And then we're going to have to pay. It's just the most empirical fact you could have. 8.4 trillion we now owe. We now owe because Trump gave trillions to corporations, and it didn't. And the revenue definitely did not come back. Now, last thing is you talked about corporations are people too. No, they're not. So I run a company. Okay, so I started the Young Turks. 75 people work there. We've got, half a dozen shows. We're on dozens of platforms. A lot of people it takes to run that operation. Okay. I'm super proud of being an entrepreneur. I love the opportunities America gave me. Okay. And I'm proud that I employ those people and I take care of them. Right. But taxes are on your profits, brother. They don't involve whether you can make it or not. And especially in digital media, it's a tough, tough business. So we're always trying to make it to get to the place where we have profits so that everybody's paid, everybody's taken care of, and we can keep going, right? So, but if I'm making, tremendous profit, whatever it might be, 10 million, 100 million, or whatever it is, and then they come and take a portion of that for the business that we created, yeah, that makes sense. Corporations have to chip in too. So, when I didn't run a company, I had to pay a lot of taxes. And so why does the average guy have to pay a lot of taxes, but companies can't take any money out of their profits to help this country get on its feet? Look, Dan, 3/4 of Americans think that corporations pay too little taxes. So the populist position is not give corporations a bigger break. They already have all the breaks in the world. And that's part of why I'm against Trump. His major piece of legislation was a $2 trillion giveaway to them. And he says now he's going to take corporate taxes from 21% to 15%. Jesus, how low do you want him to be? It's absurd.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to address the national debt next, but you kind of segued nicely to it anyway. I just want to address on the corporate tax front. You're accurate. They do pay. You don't pay taxes on losses. You're correct. However, I believe, and I'm not. You were nice enough to come here. I'm not trying to insult you, brother, at all. I know you run a business, very successful. I follow the podcast space, but I know you have to understand that there's a thing called a hurdle rate. Just because you make a profit in a business doesn't mean you're going to stay in that line of business if the government's taking more money from you. That's not how it works. If you could, for instance, let's say like I'm an investor in Rumble and other tech platforms. I'm not going to, say I didn't ideologically commit myself to this and this is just a job for me. It's not, but say it was. I'm not going to sit here and continue to do podcasting 4 hours a day. The government's going to take a lot of my proceeds. If I can get some kind of tax carve out in a different business and defeat a hurdle rate, a rate of return I need. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how business works. And on the debt, which I was going to get to next. Yeah, yes, you are correct. Republicans and Democrats from Reagan on have added to the national debt. But every time I debate a liberal, I never can get an answer on this. What is national debt a good or a bad thing? Because Cenk, it seems like liberals make the argument that debt's only bad when Donald Trump and Republicans do it, but Kamala Harris, who's running on a massive government expansion, that the debt is good. I agree with you. Debt is a bad thing when accumulated by government enterprises. I 100% agree with you. I don't care who does it, period. You don't need to make the argument Trump and Bush did it. You win. You win. It's over. I'm simply telling you, can you acknowledge as a liberal then that you're suggesting government debt is not healthy and a net positive for the economy? So why are we doing it? The argument, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. So I definitely acknowledge that. So look, we're not a normal show on the left, or we're definitely not Democrats who drive the Democrats crazy. For example, on the left, they have this thing called modern monetary theory. Good people, smart folks, but nonsense. I don't believe it at all. And what it says is debts and deficits don't matter at all. Just print as much money as you want. By the way, the other person who agrees with that is Dick Cheney. So on the right, and unfortunately, Reagan, Trump, et cetera, they're like, they pile on the debt, and they say it doesn't matter. That's nonsense. Of course it matters. By the way, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have any debt. You need to balance it out, because at different times, let's say, for example, let's say you have war, right? World War II. We took on a lot of debt to be able to win that war, but then we paid it off, right? So, and you don't have to pay all of it off, but if you accumulate too much debt, then you're starting to tip the balance of the economy. And it's a really dangerous game to play. And that's what Japan did. And it slowed them down so much, slowed down their economy. Because once you get over 100% of GDP, you're paying such a high interest rate. And then God help you if you get, you risk your credit worthiness. And that's another thing I'm really worried about with Trump. He keeps saying, oh, it's good business not to pay your debts. No, that's terrible business. Terrible business. And if America doesn't pay its debts, then the dollar is going to crash. Interest rates are going to go sky high. Inflation is going to go sky high. And right now, we're at past 100% GDP on our debt. So did the Democrats do a good job on debt? Bill Clinton did. Obama did a little bit. So they did bring down the deficits, no question about it. And Clinton got to a surplus. But overall, no, Democrats and Republicans have been having the same problems. So Biden added 4.8 trillion to the debt. Now, again, Trump added 8.4, way more. But either way, don't do the corporate tax cuts. Be responsible. Audit the Fed, audit the Defense Department. So they don't ever do any of this. They just waste all of our money, hand it over to all their donors. Right now, the oil companies get $30 billion in subsidies. Why? They're the most profitable companies in the world. Are we doing capitalism or are we not doing capitalism? This ain't capitalism. This is what I call corporatism, where corporate interests capture the government and capture mainstream media. And then they put out nothing but a pro-corporate agenda. Oh, yeah, lower our taxes. Let us take all the money. We'll pile the debt onto you. Don't worry about it. No, that debt's going to explode on us. And I hate it, whether a Democrat or Republican does it. And then your point about the corporate taxes and profits. Look, I went to Wharton Business School, and unlike Trump, I earned my way in. I didn't have any family name or anything like that. And what you do is you manage risk, right? So if you're going to make some profit, but it's relatively risky, well, then you might not do that venture, right? So it's a matter of seeing risk and reward. So I understand that taxes could affect that equation, but then it's around the edges. As Warren Buffett said, no investor is going to see a good investment opportunity and go, oh, because I have to pay taxes, I'm not going to make that money. No, you make the money and you worry about the taxes later. So I'm pretty sure Warren Buffett knows better than you and I.
All right. Well, I think we just fundamentally disagree. I'm glad you acknowledge the point that the hurdle rate does matter, but I think we just fundamentally disagree where the money should be. And you and I could argue, this is why we'll move to a different topic. I just don't think the government has any incentive to spend your money better than you will based on Milton Friedman's cost versus quality. It's not their money, and they're not even spending it on themselves. There's just no incentive. I think that's an ideological conflict of visions. I don't want to get stuck on it, but I do want to address one quick thing. Cenk, there are going to be a lot of liberals. We got 143,000. We're only 20 minutes in watching live. I appreciate all your feedback in the chat. I just want to say categorically, there was never a Clinton surplus. I actually applaud Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich for doing an amazing job. Your point isn't wrong that they did, but there was never a surplus. It is easy to prove. Just go to the United States Treasury and look at the national debt every year Bill Clinton was in office. It went up. If he was running a surplus, it would have went down. That is, it's a talking point, but it's not true. He did a great job. I'm not taking away from you. Him and Newt Gingrich didn't effectively control government as a percent of GDP. They did. You are correct. But there was never a surplus, and anyone can look that up. He got close, but they just took it out of the Social Security fund. It was an accounting myth. That's what it was. But it doesn't take away from your point, and I don't want to pick nits over that. It's kind of silly, but that just said a lot. Let's move on to the healthcare topic. Obviously, you being from the Young Turks, of a show with a liberal bent, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you're probably interested in an expanded role for government and healthcare. I don't personally see how that's effective, given that Medicaid and Medicare are bankrupting the United States government. Entitlement programs are large and causing national debt. And I don't see how a government bureaucrat somehow has an inner knowledge of your healthcare condition who can make better healthcare choices than you could with your own money. Why am I paying a bureaucrat in the government? Can you make the larger ideological argument why I'm paying the government to make healthcare decisions I can personally make on my own?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, every issue that we discuss is going to get back to money in politics because we're drowning in money in politics and they're buying off all of our politicians. So for example, why are our healthcare costs so high? Well, the top reason is drug companies. And what do drug companies do? They donate, for example, 4 times what AIPAC does. Everybody's concerned about AIPAC buying off our politicians for Israel, and that's true. They gave over $100 million in this campaign cycle, and the politicians serve their donors. But the drug industry is a way bigger lobby than AIPAC. It spent at least 4 times more this time and spends way more. So in America, we can't negotiate drug prices. The government can't when it has enormous leverage. Every other country in the world can. That is not the free market. That's the exact opposite of a free market, where the price is not set by the market. The drug companies say, this is our price, and the American people have no choice. There are hostages, and they have to pay it because we bought off all your corrupt politicians on the Democratic side and the entire Republican side. 20 Republican senators just the other day saying, no, we shouldn't negotiate drug prices. They should be sky high. So I hate those guys. I hate what they're doing to us. It's killing people. Now, when you get to universal health care, every developed nation on earth has it except us. Almost every nation on earth has it except us. 68,000 Americans die every single year because they don't have private health insurance. That number is zero in all other developed nations. We let Americans die because the health insurance companies didn't get to make a profit off of them. That system is insane. Now, if you go to universal health care, well, the problem is you're saying is, oh my God, all the costs. But that's a myth. So this is a stone cold fact. Anybody can look it up. The developed nations that do universal health care, on average, they pay half of what we pay. They don't pay more. They pay way less. And what is their results? Oh, big, long lines. No, I try to book appointments now with my doctor. They're like, yeah, we'll give you one 6 months from now. We're waiting in lines because of this crazy privatized system that doesn't care about your health. All it does is it cares about the profits of the people that are in these industries. So in the rest of the world, life expectancy is in the developed world with universal healthcare, life expectancy is higher than it is here. Almost all the metrics in terms of health are higher, and they pay half of what we pay. And you know what? Where the most of the money goes? Ironically, it goes to bureaucrats, but not government bureaucrats, private health insurance and drug company bureaucrats who go, hey, I'm going to give you the same service you could have gotten from the government much, much, much cheaper because it's just insurance. Remember, it's not your doctor. Your doctor's still private. You still get to have your doctor. The people who prevent you from having any doctor you want are HMOs. They say you're not allowed to. You can only pick this doctor, or if they're in this network, right? It's those bureaucrats that are killing us, and they're killing us for their profit. So we've got to wake up to the fact that we live under corporate rule, and corporate media tells you how great this system is. They're lying to you. It's not great. It's one of the worst systems in the world. That's why we pay twice as much as everyone else. I want to reduce costs and get better results.
Well, a couple things I want to address there. It's interesting how you seem to be, especially by your last sentence and statement there, willing to trade, what you claim is rule by corporations that I can escape from to rule by government I can't, that has a monopoly on force. That I don't know about you, but that seems like an odd change. If you're uncomfortable with being, quote, ruled by corporations who don't have the barrel of a gun and a monopoly on force, why you would trade that for government seems like a bizarre change if you love liberty and freedom. Second, you keep saying it's a privatized system. Government now pays in the United States. Government finances about 40 to 50% of the healthcare system. Well, let's not, with a straight face, say this is a private system. It's at best fairly stated a hybrid that's dominated by government payments. That's not in doubt. Ever since Obamacare, that number's probably closer to 50% of Medicare payments. Secondly, claiming that there's the rationing, or I don't want to put words in your mouth. You didn't say it isn't a problem, but if you're insinuating that, pull up that article, guys, the one I showed you about the rationing. Rationing in government-run systems is real. Cenk, there's only two ways to allocate a product: healthcare, Chia Pets. It doesn't matter. You can price the product, or you can ration it. There is no third way. You'll win a Nobel Prize in economics if you could tell me a third way to sell or make a product available. So if we're not going to price it where someone can go and buy LASIK, and when LASIK generally isn't covered by insurance, that's why it's cheap. Plastic surgery is affordable because a lot of it isn't covered by government. I mean, look, here's the health secretary in the UK admitting that NHS rationing is government policy. I mean, it's not me saying it. Rationing is real. So I'm not saying to you that everything you said there is bullshit. Yes, there is a lot of money spent on lobbying by drug companies, and I'm certainly not here to lobby for big pharma. But again, acting like they don't spend a lot of money on R&D and acting like their profits are exorbitant relative to other industries doesn't marry up with the facts. But second, I just like you to address the rationing thing. That's very real. And the UK is going bankrupt right now, and the NHS is chronically running out of money. So I don't get where you're making an economic efficiency argument, comparing it to us, where the government here is still Medicaid and Medicare, the Medicaid trust fund, a Medicare trust fund is going to go bankrupt, what was it, 2035 or 2032? I mean, we're having real significant issues with this. You kind of glossed over.
Yeah, so let's break it down one by one. So you say corporations don't have the power of the, the gun, and government does. Well, first of all, that's part of the point of the government, is that we collectively get together and go, hey, we're going to have cops, we're going to have a military, we're going to protect ourselves, right? So you can't take the gun. I mean, I know you don't want to defund the police, right? So that my point is that the government is a balance between individuality and protecting the community, and we need to get that right balance. But when you say corporations don't have that power, that's actually not true, because they just bought our entire government. The entire government's corrupt and serves corporate donors. So now they have the power of the gun and the power of the dollar. Okay. So look, guys, politicians are just waiters and waitresses. They're servants for the donors. So don't respect any of them. Mainstream media tells you, oh my God, they're such noble, unbelievable people, and they're here to help you. They're not here to help you. They're here to rob you. They're servants of the donor class. So the corporations that control them now have nearly more power than I have ever seen in America. And if you don't like big government, wait till you get a load of big business and big government combined. And that's what we have today. So number two, now when you get into specifically in the health insurance industry, so you say, well, the government already runs parts of it. That's right. And every part of that the government runs is actually very popular. Now, this is a right-wing show, so a lot of your audience is going to be like, oh, no way, the government's not popular. Really? Well, Obamacare now is way above 50% in popularity, and that's why the Republicans stopped trying to kill it. In fact, Donald Trump was pretending that he was in favor of it. The J.D. Vance in the Tim Walz debate was like, oh, we saved Obamacare. No, you didn't. You tried to kill Obamacare. And the reason they're saying that is because it is now popular. Medicaid, popular, very popular. Medicare, the second most popular program in America, polls at 77%. You cut that at your peril, because it is a rare government program that works spectacularly. People are very happy with it. Why? Because people are waiting to get to 65 so they can get Medicare and be freed from the oppression of private health insurers. You can't have this, you can't have that, which leads to rationing. Are you saying we're not doing rationing now? All my private health insurance does is rationing. You can't do that. You can't do this. And that's an elective surgery. And then half the time, it's not even elective. They're trying to save money. Look, think about how private health insurance makes money. Their revenue is how much you pay them. So they want to make it sure that it's as high as possible. And their costs are the health care that they're giving you. So they want to make sure their costs are as low as possible so they can make the most profit. So how do you keep your costs low? You provide as little health care as possible. The entire incentive of this system is to make sure you don't get better, that they make a profit off of you being sick and not paying for it. That is crazy. That's why it costs twice as much as all the other countries that have universal health care. So, and then you talked about R&D. Are you kidding me? You know, the U.S. government pays for most of the research and development for the drug companies. Now, normally, look, again, I run a business. You're invested into this, into Rumble, you said, so you understand it. So listen, when someone invests into a business, they get equity in it, okay? But when the American taxpayer invests into research and development for drug companies, we don't get any equity in the drug companies. And then the drug companies turn around and say, you're not even allowed to negotiate drug prices. We're corporatists rule. You have, and now I have the government backing me up, so you don't have any choice at all. You don't even have a public option. Biden said he'd do a public option. He didn't even propose one. The Republicans hate a public option because that would take beloved profits away from their beloved drug companies and health insurance companies. So if we're going to help them with research and development, then they need to give us equity in those companies. Now, you said their profits are not exorbitant. No, brother. The drug company profits are unbelievable. They are record-breaking. They're killing us with their profits.
No,
so
that's not what I said, though.
They're a little bit different.
That's not what I said, though.
They also are very profitable, but the drug companies are out of control profitable because they killed off the free markets.
That's not what I said. I didn't say, I never used the word exorbitant at all. I said when you look at drug company profits relative to other industries, they are relatively in line. And I'm not sure, you know, the American people really care what any liberal thinks about what an acceptable level of profit is. I mean, that's just an opinion. No, I mean, I guess liberals do, but I guess I'm making a point.
No, Dan.
I'm not really interested. I think me and my audience, maybe yours is, but I'm not really interested in what anyone else thinks about an acceptable level of profit unless you're an investor somehow or you're somehow got skin in the game. Like, why would I care what a group of people think about an acceptable level of profit in my business? Like, are you working in my business? So why would it matter to me?
So, Dan, first, it's not my audience or your audience. 76% of Americans say that corporations are making too much money. And you could say, hey, what is it their business? In fact, I literally wrote that in my book, Justice is Coming. I said one poll had nearly 3/4 of the country saying that corporations have too much power and make too much money. And I was like, and there was one result where I was like, I'm not sure I even agree with this, right? But the American people's gut intuition that they're making quote unquote too much profit is not because they're envious. It's not because what difference does it make how much they make. Look, you come up with a good company. I'm an entrepreneur. You come up with a good company, small business, big business, I don't care. And you're making good profit. God bless your heart. That's the whole point of America, land of opportunity. But the reason why in our gut we think they're making quote unquote too much profit is because we know they captured the government. So if you're in a free market and people can pay whatever they want for drugs, then you make money, no problem. But if you're not in a free market and you say, I can set my prices anywhere I want and you're not allowed to negotiate, well, then you're making quote unquote too much profit because you rigged the rules. You got the government to rig the rules on your behalf. Then the government pays for your research and development, doesn't take anything back from it. You guys set the prices. Dan, this isn't capitalism. This is corporatism. Corporatism is killing capitalism. Capitalism is free markets. Corporatism is crony capitalism. We get everything. We buy off the politicians and we make infinite profit because we captured the government.
I gotta hold that thought. I gotta take a quick break. Folks, we'll be right back with Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. But I want to address that because you're citing polls a lot and what the American people think. But then when you see what they do, you get a different result. I'm not really interested so much in what people think. I'm interested in what they do. It matters. But I'll let you address that in a second. Hey, with 5 generations of family-owned experience, Omaha Steaks consistently delivers unrivaled quality and taste, hand-selected by master butchers from the finest grain-finished beef, extra aged, flash frozen at peak flavor, and delivered right to you. And now during the semi-annual sale, you can taste the difference and get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Minimum purchase may apply. Go to omahasteaks.com for details. Our listeners get an extra $30 off with code Bongino. That's a big discount. Paul and I just stocked up with Omaha Steaks, ready for the busy election season. There'll be a lot of late-night meals. I'm hungry after I get back from my crazy schedule. Omaha Steaks helps me get through it. They're legendary steaks delivered right to your door. Grass-fed, grain-finished beef, hand-selected for superior marbling and taste, perfectly aged, maximizes tenderness, hand-cut by master butchers in the American heartland. Bring home the world's best steak experience with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during the semi-annual sale. And for an extra $30 off, use code Bongino. Minimum purchase may apply. Visit omahasteaks.com for details. That's 50% off at Omaha, omahasteaks.com. An extra $30 off with code Bongino. Our last sponsor. We'll get back to the show. Field of Greens. Listen, you see this hole in my arm? No, I am not a user of illicit drugs. I went to go get a blood test yesterday. I will show you the results to prove it to you that Field of Greens works. I love this product. It's an organic superfood. It's a fruit and vegetable powder, ground up, healthy, wholesome, organic, awesome fruits and vegetables in a doctor recommended. The doctors at Field of Greens selected these fruits and vegetables specifically to help with vital body organ functions, heart, liver, kidneys, metabolism, and immune system. 24 vials yesterday. I was like beef jerky when I got out of there. Only Field of Greens is backed by a better health promise. This is serious nutrition. It was also approved for a university study. Doctors believe may lower your body's biological age. It generally means better health. They have a better health promise. At your next physical checkup, I bet your doctor will notice your improved health from good nutrition like me or your money back. Join me in better health with 15% off and free shipping. Visit brickhousenutrition.com/Dan and use promo code Dan. That's promo code Dan at brickhousenutrition.com/Dan, brickhousenutrition.com/Dan. Back with Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. Cenk, a couple things. Again, I think you do a good job debating your position. I'll give you credit. But what I find a little lacking, I don't mean as an insult, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that the bigger issues I'm trying to get at, you're still not addressing. Like the government's role in healthcare, Medicare's own actuaries, okay, that they're not partisan actors. Their actuaries have said to the American people, despite, close to $1 trillion a year spent on government-funded healthcare at the federal level alone, that they're going broke in 10 years. They don't have the money. So, it's easy to attack the private sector. It is, because it's not perfect. You're right. You may have to wait for a doctor's appointment. I do. But that's not rationing. You can pick another doctor, correct? If the government tells you at the end of, Cenk, then
you're in an HMO, you can't.
Oh, well, then, no, see, that's not accurate either. I mean, I had to have back surgery 5 years ago. My insurance company said, no dice. You know what I did? I changed insurance companies and got the back surgery. I mean, you have a choice. It may not be a good one, but it's like saying I don't have a car. I don't have transportation options. Yes, you do. You get on the train, but I don't like the train. That's not what you said. You said you have no transportation options. That's not right. So I want you to address that. They are going bankrupt, number one. Please hit that. And then second, you cite polls a lot. The American people say they don't like corporations making a lot of money. The American people say, the rich don't pay enough. So I've asked 1,000 liberals this question. It's probably not hyperbole from running for office. I have never got a satisfactory answer. Why don't liberal corporations and why don't liberals set an example for the American people and just voluntarily pay more? Why do they have to be forced to do it if government's such a benevolent force? And I know they'll scoff. Well, you have to pay more too. Why? I believe charity is a good thing. I don't need a liberal to give to charity for me to. Me and my wife give hundreds of thousands of dollars a year away to charities that do a good thing. If government is so great, why don't liberals, the 30 million or 40 million or 50 million, get a group together and all double their taxes and lead by example? Nobody's stopping them. Government's a good thing. Pay for it.
All right, so I'll take that one by one too. So, Dan, you're lucky because you're able to switch health insurance. But most people work for a company, and their company provides the health insurance. So I'll give you an example. A friend of mine who ran for office nearly won as a progressive in Kansas because he runs like me, a populist progressive, not like the corporate Democrats, right? But then he got sick. He got stage 4 cancer, and it was. We were really worried about him, and he had insurance through his wife's company, and it was an HMO. And they said, well, there is a doctor that can perform surgery on you and maybe save your life, but he's in Denver. He's out of network. So he's like, well, what do you want me to do? And they're like, we don't care. Nothing. I mean, he was going to die. His wife had to switch companies. I mean, but most people don't have that luxury. So what are you going to do? You can't afford chemo. You can't afford surgery. And you're stuck at a company. I mean, this whole system is crazy. And part of the reason why it also leads to corporate rule is then you're attached to your company like an indentured servant. And God help you if they fire you or they don't cover the doctor that you need, etc. This is not the right way to run health insurance. No other country does this. And guys, don't get me wrong. You can layer on private health insurance on top. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. If you say, hey, the government insurance is not enough, I want to buy extra insurance. God bless your heart. It's still sometimes the right makes it seem like, oh, we're taking your freedom away. Nobody's taking your freedom away. The government is like they provide cops, like they provide a fire department. They're covering everyone. That's their responsibility to protect your life. But if you want to get extra security, nobody's stopping you from getting extra security. In fact, Kim Kardashian, when there was fires here in California, hired private fire department. But we can't have a private fire department. Otherwise, the whole place is going to burn down. Some things need to be public, including health insurance and cops, because those are the things that save your life. Okay. So now when you turn to Social Security and Medicare, people say, oh my God, it's going to go bankrupt. Social Security could be solvent if all we did was this easiest fix in the world. All of us get money taken out of our taxes for Social Security and our employer matches, right? But it gets capped, and that cap keeps moving. I think it's around 170,000 or so. If you're making above 170,000, you no longer contribute to Social Security. If you just lift that cap and have everyone, including past 170,000, contributing to Social Security, it's solvent forever. Solves the problem. But the rich don't want it. They don't want to pay like an extra 0.6 or whatever it is to keep. Social Security is the #1 most popular program in America. So that's what I mean by a fair share. I mean, a tiny percentage from people making above 170 gets us covered with Social Security forever. Medicare is a little bit tougher situation because of all the runaway health insurance costs. But part of the reason they have runaway health insurance costs is, again, because the drug companies charge so much, et cetera. So the right way to do that is to keep that super popular program, but get government corruption under control so they stop, serving the drug companies, serving the health insurance companies, et cetera. So, and then you talked about voluntary taxation. And this is a point I hear often. Right wing goes, well, okay, we don't want to pay extra taxes. We don't want to give to the cops, the military. We don't for the collective, good or roads, bridges, libraries, schools. We don't want to. So liberals, if you want to pay more, why don't you carry the load? Well, that's not how a community works. And what does that do? That says, okay, if you're a good guy and you're trying to look out for others, you give away all your money and have no power left. And if you're a bad guy and you're selfish and you're greedy, you keep all your money. And then you'll get to lord that over other people and have all the power. Yeah, no deal. I'm not going to do that. And if you take that argument to its logical extreme, okay, for example, I don't want to fund Israel for $26 billion to slaughter Palestinians. Okay, so Israeli supporters, why don't you go pay for it? Okay, well, you know what? I didn't want to go into the Iraq War. Young Turks is the longest running internet show in history. We were around before the Iraq War, and we're one of the 2 national shows that said, don't go in. It's going to be a disaster. And it was a disaster. And they made us pay trillions of dollars for that dumbass idea. I didn't want to pay it, but that's not how taxes work. I don't get to say, hey, I don't want that war. I don't want that government program. I don't want your kids to get educated. I don't want to. And by the way, that's what the rich are doing now. They're killing off public education because all their kids are already in private school. So like, I don't want to fund it. I don't want to fund it. No, we're a community. We work together. And especially in insurance, you have to pool your resources together for when you need an emergency, help in an emergency.
I'm a little confused. I mean, it just sounds to me like you made the argument against taxes, not for. I'm not trying to be a dick. You're telling me the government makes you pay for a whole bunch of stuff you don't want to pay for, that you could pay for yourself. By the way, I totally disagree with the slaughtering Palestinians. We can talk about that, the Israel issue, next if you'd like to. But I'm not sure what argument you're making.
Yeah, can I explain?
Wait, hold on. I will let you, but I just want to say one more thing too, and maybe address this. This is I do a lot of debating, whether it was TV back then or here. You pulled this stunt, whether you know it or not. I'm not trying to be a smart ass, but you did this utopia fallacy thing again, where you compared the current system of insurance. My friend's struggling. It's a horrible story. I'm really sad for him. I had cancer myself. I acknowledge to you fairly, the current system is filled with human beings who are flawed, and we're all sinners. The current medical system, no matter how private or how government, is always going to have problems. The question isn't, is the private system perfect? There's this thing called the utopia fallacy. Liberals do a lot. And they go, well, they'll give you an example. They'll say, this guy, man, he had cancer. It's horrible. I had cancer. The insurance company fucked him over. It happens all the time. You're correct. But then you're pretending like there's a utopia out there where this doesn't happen, as if the government doesn't fuck people over every single day and there's no way you can escape. If you're on Medicare and the government tells you, for instance, when you look at the Alzheimer drugs, that Medicare, they pulled this big scam trying to pull some experiment because it was getting too expensive. Those seniors were in an uproar because there was no option. I'm acknowledging to you the private healthcare system is flawed. Your argument is correct. But what I'm saying is you're not acknowledging the other avenue. That yes, if the private healthcare system is one of its flaws is insurance companies don't pay for everything and some people are going to get screwed. It's interesting you leave out that if the government doesn't pay for it, you are absolutely screwed and you actually don't have an option. There's no second government to lobby to. Can we accept that premise that you're not acknowledging the other half of this while I am?
So let me break those down. So first off, if you're rich under both systems, you're fine because you could layer on private health insurance and get any treatment you like. So we're talking about now middle class and poor, okay? And actually the biggest problem is for the middle class because the poor are also covered under Medicare. So the middle class constantly gets squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. So now let's look at there's no utopias then. I agree with you on that. Let's look at the 2 different options. One is a private healthcare system and the other is the government. So private healthcare system denies you coverage, and all of you out there, you've been there, okay? You're screwed. You have no options. You can't go ask your representative in government. You can't do anything because you're stuck in your company. Your company provides this healthcare company, You don't have the choice to get out of that healthcare company. Besides which, you're sick now, right? And so you're totally, utterly stuck. If the government provides it, at least you then can go to your representative and go, why aren't you guys covering cancer treatment, right? And the American people rise up. And in fact, you saw it happen with your own eyes. The health insurance companies got so greedy and so corrupt that they were denying coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. Well, that's all of us, right? And it became so oppressive that the government, which I think is owned by these corporate owners, then said, all right, we got to do a release valve. Okay, so let's let them do Obamacare. Basically, the drug companies allowed that to happen. The health insurance guys fought it, but we won that fight, and now we're much better off. That's why Obamacare is popular. So with the government, it's at least a democracy, and you have a chance to have some sort of redress of your grievance. With a private company, you are screwed. They don't.
Jake, you're glossing over my point, though.
Profit.
I only got 10 minutes, so I'm trying my best not to interrupt. I got 10 minutes left. I got to go live on the radio after that. But you're totally glossing over my point. You keep saying something that is tautologically inaccurate if you just look at it. You keep saying that you have no options in the free market healthcare. You do. You just don't like them. You actually made the point. He has to, wait, hold on. You said you have to leave the job. Okay, that sucks. But when the government tells you no, which it tells people no all the time, Alzheimer's, you're saying your best response is call your representative and hope for the best?
No, over long run, we can pressure the government to do things. God, it's hard, but we did it with pre-existing conditions, okay? But when, Dan, you keep talking about a hypothetical where you're rich. Yeah, you can leave any insurance company you want if you're rich. But if you're middle class, leaving your job is not tenable, especially in the middle of cancer. And then you
didn't say it was.
Hold on.
No, I know, but I didn't say it was.
A different company.
I'm just telling you it's an option, not a palatable one. Don't.
Okay, I mean, if
I'm not disagreeing with you, though. I don't want to debate something we both agree. It fucking sucks, bro. We both agree. I'm just saying the government sucks worse because you can't get away from them. Your point is at least we can lobby government over time. Okay, I'll concede the point. You can get government to take other people's money and pay for things. Can I move on, though? Because I only got 10 minutes. I'm enjoying this.
Other point, just real quick.
All right, make it quick.
Remember, you could layer health insurance on top of what the government's giving you, so you still have options. But the thing that you mentioned about the individual. Shoot, I forgot the thing that you mentioned earlier.
We'll do it on your show. We'll do it on your show. I promise I'll do your show. You were nice enough to come on mine. I'm not going to screw you over. We'll do it on your show, The Young Turks.
Sorry, Dan, real quick. Yeah. What I was saying about the government and all the different things that we disagree with, like the Israeli policy, the military policy, etc. If we all say I'm only paying for taxes for the things that I like, it becomes completely unworkable. So we have to pool our resources together for things like security, things that protect our lives, police, fire department, healthcare, etc. So that's why I'm saying you can't say, hey, I don't like that part. I don't like that part. I'm not going to pay my taxes for that. I'm not going to pay my taxes for that. Even if it deeply bothers you as it does for me, that's how we pool our money together. And that's how we work together.
No, I concede that what you're saying is not wrong. I'm just saying, I think you think that's an argument for you. I'm not saying it's wrong. I think you're making the argument for us. We have to pay for shit we don't like, and we'd rather not. I'd rather pay for things that there is mass consensus on. Military, courts, at the state level, roads. The other things you're talking about, funding for Israel, you're making a point we both agree on. You don't like it, I do. So why should you have to pay for it? I agree. But that's fine. That's, it's weird. We're kind of agreeing and pretending to disagree. It's just a larger issue there. Let me get to this last point because I'm running out of time. But, again, I appreciate you being here. I think it's been really, productive. The abortion issue, obviously a hot one. I've asked this question. It's not a trick. I'm not trying to set anybody up. Do you accept any limitations on abortion? And when does life begin? But most importantly, what are you basing that on, your answer? Because, again, no liberal's ever given me an answer. How do they know that? When they give an answer and I ask them part two, no one responds.
Dan, I'll be your huckleberry. Here's the answer. So, number one, I'm in favor of Roe v. Wade. Now, I'm going to surprise you in a couple factors here. Number one, I was against Roe v. Wade as a Supreme Court decision. It was legislation. It was not a court decision. It was activist. Okay, and the reason is there's no talk of of abortion in the Constitution. That's absurd. There's no talk of the trimesters in the Constitution. They just made that up, and that was at a time when Lewis Powell said, "Hey," and he was a right winger, worked for the Chamber of Commerce, and said, "Let's pack the courts with activist judges." So that gave us Roe v. Wade, but that also gave us Citizens United and the unlimited corruption, where the judges said, "Oh yeah, the Constitution says that you're allowed to bribe politicians through campaign contributions." They just made that up. Now, in the legislation that they made up, Roe v. Wade, it was actually excellent legislation. I agree with it from a policy perspective, right? And that's what they should pass on a national level. So what did that say? Did that say unlimited abortion? No. It said that abortion should be legal in the first 2 trimesters. In the 3rd trimester, it's illegal, and unless the health of the mother or the baby is involved, right? Well, at that point, you know, if the baby's passed away and they need to get it out, et cetera. And that's usually only 1% of abortions happens in the last trimester. And it's almost always because of a health emergency like that. And guys, you got to remember, I know there's a lot of hyperbole out there, but a woman is not going to carry a baby around for 9 months and then at the end go, I changed my mind. I take it out. It almost never happens. And the people that have been there for 9 months, that have carried it to term for 9 months, are desperate to have that baby. It's almost always health emergencies. So in terms of when does life start, you know, Dan, I actually used to be what you would call pro-life for a brief period of time in college, and the reason was I was like, exactly the point you're making. I was like, well, when does life begin? Conception makes sense as a place where life begins, but then I realized that no, that's not actually true. The question isn't life. The question is dependent or independent life. So if the life is dependent, whatever form of life you think it is, on the mom or on anyone, that is their choice. Once it becomes independent, then it's a human being, and the government then has a responsibility to protect that independent human being. If it can survive outside the womb, then it's a person. Until then, it's a zygote, it's a fetus, and the mom has the responsibility and the freedom to control her own body.
I'm sorry, I only got a few minutes, and I want to make sure we wrap this up appropriately. I just want to take a second to answer, and then if I don't get to it, I promise I'm not trying to screw you over. We will definitely do it on your show. It's not an effort to like box you in at the end. Again, you've been very generous with your time. I think this has been really good back and forth. We have barely interrupted each other. The dependence issue I hear brought up a lot. But it's interesting when I bring up to people and I say, well, you know, dependence, what about human beings at the end of life? There are people, grandparents who have Alzheimer's and things who are dependent on other people too. It's a fascinating argument. When you say dependence, I say, should we kill them too? And they say, well, that's silly. You know, you're making an argument about dependence in a different way. Well, I'm really not. I mean, the person actually would not be able to live without an additional human being's support. And then secondly, you know, I appreciate you giving a candid answer. You never hear that from liberals, so applause there for that. And the fact that you acknowledge at one point you felt differently about it, that's actually rare. I never hear that on the abortion issue. There's always endless filibustering. So I'm glad you actually gave an answer on viability. But on the conception thing, I just can't understand how people get around this. Every single human being on planet Earth was conceived. Not every conception resulted in a human being. You have ectopic pregnancies, you have miscarriages, granted, but every human being on Earth was conceived. It's not a difficult scientific argument to make. I just wish liberals would be honest about it. And you gave an honest answer. I wish they would just say, well, we don't really care if it's alive or not. We just don't think it should be allowed to live if the mother doesn't want it to. I have a minute left. I want to let you respond. I have a hard minute and I got to run to the radio, but go ahead.
Yeah, look, financial dependence on someone is very, very, very different than a physical, literal, biological dependence. And so what I'm worried about is, guys, you say you're for freedom, but you're taking women's freedom away. And you're saying you don't get to decide what you do with your body and what you do with your life. You're going to have to raise this kid for 18 years. You're going to have to carry it for 9 months. We're just taking your body. I mean, look at what happened with the vaccines. People were so upset about a simple, jab. Like that was like the biggest intrusion into your freedom. Imagine if the government made you carry another life form for 9 months and take care of it for the rest of your life. That's taking your freedom away. If it's an independent human being, the government should protect it. But if it's in your body and it's not a human being yet, you get to make the choice.
All right. I guess we're going to have to disagree on when it's a human being. But I will do your show, Cenk. You just get with my team like I got with yours. And I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak like two men about the issues from a different perspective. We're both running businesses, both very successful. I'm a little later to the live stream video game. I know you guys have been around a while, but I appreciate it. And thank you for coming on. I think that was really productive. I appreciate your time. I just want to reiterate this one last time. If you are an undecided voter out there, or if you know, because you're not undecided, an undecided voter out there, please pitch them this one simple question that may change their mind. It's not what you want right now. If you're undecided, it's clear you don't want either. I don't know why people wouldn't want Donald Trump over Kamala Harris after these 3 3/4 years of horrors. I don't know. I can't get in their heads. I don't understand it. You probably don't understand it either. It's not my business to understand it at this point. Okay? I've tried for 3.5 years to convince you. Stop asking them what they want. Ask them what they can live without. I told you this happened to me when they separated the SWAT team from the president's detail and you had to pick one or the other. You used to be able to do both. I was pissed. I wanted to do both, but I couldn't. The world sucks. It's not fair sometimes. So my boss said to me, stop asking yourself what you want, because you want them both. You don't like the decisions. Ask yourself what you can live without. Can you live without inflation? Can you live without an open border? Can you live without global chaos? Because if you can ask yourself that question and honestly answer it, there is only one choice in the election. And it's obviously Donald J. Trump, because it's the only candidate you elected where you did live without that stuff. I only bring that up because someone called my wife yesterday, a friend, and he brought up, he was on speakerphone, he was talking to Paul, and he brought up that had impacted him pretty deeply. I hope it helps. Folks, this Kamala collapse is real. And bottom line up front, you know I hate teases. Folks, if this thing, if this thing, what are you laughing at? The damn. If this thing is a blowout on election night, I'm not telling you that's going to happen. Don't get excited. Execute. 10 people. Vote early, in person. Have I mentioned that before? If this thing's a blowout on election night, folks, they are absolutely not going to concede. Here's a couple things I want you to watch. I hope you're going to spend election night with us here in Rumble. We'll be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. There won't be a day podcast that day, obviously. There'll be a radio show, but we'll be in basically all night. Folks, if you see a state like, say, in New Jersey, that Donald Trump's not going to win, that'd be highly, I'm not telling you it's impossible. I'm just telling you I doubt it. But if you see a state like New Jersey and it looks like Donald Trump is only down about 6 and it's 5 or 6 points, and then you see, say, a Virginia where he's maybe winning or down 1 or 2, and then you see Georgia called early, say Donald Trump is up 5 points, and you might say, well, Dan, they're already saying they're going to delay the voting count or whatever. Folks, they have exit polls. I've explained this for the last 3 days. Every media outlet on planet Earth will be sitting outside select poll locations in swing counties, asking anyone they can get their hold of who leaves, who'd you vote for? Trust me, if it's a 4 or 5 point win in Pennsylvania or Georgia, some media outlet's going to call it early. If you see a Virginia close, a New Jersey 5 or 6 points, if you see a big Georgia win, if you see a huge Florida win, say Florida closes, say he's up 6-7 in Florida. You see Michigan's looking tight. Folks, the race is going, they know it's going to be over, the Democrats. They know it. They know there's not enough electoral college ground to be made up, especially if in swing states and blue-leaning states, Donald Trump is overperforming 2020 and 2016. There are very, very accurate spreadsheets they can put together, these media outlets, where they'll generally have a good idea, if it's a blowout, not if it's close, that this is going to be an early night. I'm telling you right now, Kamala Harris's team will absolutely not concede this thing. There is zero chance. Folks, they are going to go to court and they are going to try to steal this thing again. She's already planting the seeds. Folks, why are we the supermarket? Why are we El Supermercado? Because we bring receipts. What's receipts in Spanish? Recibos? Do you speak Spanish? I think it's receipts, babes. Receipts. Listen to Kamala Harris, already planting the seeds that they are not going to concede this thing, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what. Trump could win 49 states, and they're going to make up some bizarre reason. And here's what they're going to say. Hey, Jim, flag this, right? Flags in the chat right now. Flags. I want to see flags everywhere. Every single person flags in the chat. They're going to say, we got to count every vote. No, you don't. I mean, you will count every vote because you have to count every vote. But counting every vote means nothing for the election outcome if you need 100,000 votes to win and there's only 25,000 outstanding votes. Yes, count them, of course. Everybody's voice should be heard, but it has no relation to the outcome whatsoever. Listen to Kamala Harris. Already watering the chia pet. Did we break it already? Nice. Good. We wanted to break the chat. That was actually, we were going to write Guy at 11:50. I'm sorry, but we're testing everything before election night. So Chris, remember, wanted me to break the chat. So you did it early. Good job. All right. Here we go. Listen to Kamala Harris watering the chia pet right now that they are not going to concede this thing. Check this out.
What do you expect on election day? To get the results on the same night, maybe 2 days later, a week later? What are your expectations?
Well, I hope to get the results that night, but that may or may not happen. And last time it took more than obviously one night.
Folks, she is not saying this by accident, ladies and gentlemen. Fascists, socialists, and tyrants never slip up. Sometimes they say the quiet part out loud, but everything they say on purpose. They may wish they can change the wording, but the fact that they said it is not an accident. They are planting the seed right here. The media floats trial balloons for them, and they want to see with these trial balloons what kind of feedback they're going to get back from their own side. If their own side would do the right thing and say, hey, listen, we just criticized Republicans for being election deniers, we're going to look like hypocrites, even though we had a legitimate case. If we just fabricate a case that the election was stolen, do you think they care? The answer is no. Double barrel middle finger to you. They don't care. Here's the media trial balloon. Receipts incoming yet again. Kamala says it. Oh, look, all of a sudden, in Axios this morning, a communist Politico playbook knockoff, right? Do you think this is an accident that the exact same message is in Axios this morning? I'm sure it's just a little bit of an accidente. It is not. Axios AM, post-election zen. They note it's likely the election winner won't be known the night of November 5th. Oh, really? How do they know that? Because I'm telling you right now, if these polls are even close to accurate, we'll know the night of November 5th. They note it may not even be clear the morning after or the day after. Here, look at this. But that doesn't mean the eventual results were rigged, manipulated, or wrong. Van der Heij and Allen writing behind the curtain column. You see what they're getting at here? They're getting at that. Leave this up. I want to read the rest of it. This is super important. They're getting at if Kamala Harris challenges this thing and says, hey, listen, there are still votes outstanding, and Republicans go, hey, man, you're trying to rig this thing. You're saying, there are votes outstanding. There's only 25 outstanding votes, 25,000. She's down by 100,000. It doesn't matter what's outstanding. You see what they're doing? No. Every vote's got to be counted. They know why it matters. Sluggish vote counts could fuel distrust in the election, spark protests, and paralyze governance. Both parties are preparing to challenge the ballots. You talk about raising the possibility of prolonged court fights. Yes, that is absolutely going to happen. Is there more to that? I think I could put in one more sentence on that. Oh, no, it wasn't. That's all right. Folks, they are going to litigate this thing to death. I'm telling you, if she loses 49 states, they are preparing right now to steal this thing. Now, I got the bad news out of the way. The good news is this. I don't even know if I should say the good news because I don't want to. This is an unlikely outcome, but I'd be remiss if I didn't put it out there. Folks, the media dislikes Kamala Harris so much. They do. They piled on her when she was vice president. It's not because they love her left-wing ideology. They just think she's a terrible candidate. They don't like her the way we don't like Mitt Romney. I mean, we're conservatives. Just because Mitt Romney ran as a Republican doesn't mean we like him, correct? The media has the same problem. They're communists. It doesn't mean they like every communist. You get it? They don't like Kamala the same way we don't like Romney. We just think they suck, and they're just not good at getting our values across the finish line. They don't like Kamala. So the good news is this. If it is bad, say the exit polling is brutal. Say we're up in Georgia 3-4 points. Outstanding votes don't really matter. Say in Pennsylvania, it goes downhill quick. In Virginia, like I said, it's 1-2 points. In Jersey, it's 5-6, even like 7 points. Closer than it should have been in a state that's gone blue like for eons since what, George H.W. Bush or something like that, right? The media may decide this isn't worth the fight. And I'm not telling you it's because of, don't pile on me in the chat. What are you saying the media is going to do? No, I love you guys in the chat. I'm just saying they may realize it's a fait accompli, and they may say to themselves, listen, we got to move on and save the House and the Senate. We got to get rid of this. She's just going to embarrass the party, and we're going to wind up losing in court, and it's going to be even worse. Low probability that happens, but it's not zero. So, folks, the problem they're having right now, and while everyone is getting ready to politically throw Kamala Harris overboard, the campaign is a total train wreck. They cannot answer a single question about what Kamala Harris actually stands for. I'm going to give you I usually do this in reverse. Kamala Harris did a CNN town hall last night. An abomination to humankind, probably cost her a point nationally in the polls. I think it was so bad that even the lefties on CNN where it was hosted, were like, this is bad news. I'm going to play David Axelrod on this in a minute. And the reason I'm playing Axelrod is imagine when Axelrod talks. I know this from experience. This is Obama talking. This is Obama's puppet master. If Obama had a puppet master, it's this guy. He listens to this guy like no one else. When Axelrod talks, he doesn't say anything without Obama and them speaking, like the Borg with a hive mind, okay? Here's Axelrod on Kamala Harris's performance last night on the town hall. She was supposed to pitch herself to America last night, and she just reaffirmed the pre-existing political narrative that she has no idea what she's talking about and speaks in word salad. Check this out.
When she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city, and she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking.
Folks, she's trying to rescue her campaign, but the problem is she doesn't have the toolkit to do it. You know, I reiterate messages a lot on the show because when I was an instructor, and you have to they have these train the trainer things, and usually they're lame, but one of them was tell people what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And one of the things I keep telling you is if you're never going to understand campaigns if you don't understand this set of golden rules I have. You know, snapshots and sound bites, contrast, you know all those. But the other one is if you are not the most effective weapon for your campaign and they are hiding the candidate, there is a 90% chance you're going to lose. Not 100%, 90% chance. You always got the Eddie Murphy distinguished gentleman case, right? Where someone shows up and like runs on their dad's last name. Look at Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. Perfect example. A guy running for Senate who has never done a damn thing in his entire career, running against an accomplished guy, Dave McCormick. Casey has never done shit. He's running on his dad's name. Once in a while it works. 90% of the time it doesn't. You have to be the candidate, the best weapon. You have to be the one at fundraisers. Everybody should be paying to see you. No one wants to pay to see the chief of staff. People go to a Donald Trump fundraiser. Imagine you pay, I don't know, $5,000 for a VIP ticket to a Donald Trump fundraiser and Guy shows up. I mean, I love Guy. I love Michael. They're great guys. But let's be honest. No one's paying $5,000 to see them or me. No, you want to see Trump. Imagine going, hey, Dan Bongino's here. I'm sure the Bongino army would be like, okay, cool, but I paid to see Trump, not him. I can watch him on the podcast. What's that? Guy said, I'll tell you, if you want to talk about Star Wars, Guy's your guy. You wanted someone to do your math homework? Ask Michael. He's a smart math major. But he's not running for president. Kamala Harris cannot save herself, folks. Nobody wants to see her. Nobody cares about her. Every time she opens her mouth, she says something stupid. And the thing is, the political narratives surrounding her are all true. Here she is last night, giving an answer in the CNN town hall. I'm not going to play a lot of it because it was just typical Kamala Harris word salad bullshit. But here she is, giving one of the worst answers I ever seen, claiming like her superpower here, she tries to reframe a question, is that she studies too much. Kamala Harris has a reputation for being lazy and not doing her homework. Don't ask me. Ask the staffers who quit and leaked it to the media. I don't know Kamala Harris's study habits. I don't know her. Here, watch this, and then receipts incoming afterwards. Check this out.
So I may not be quick to have the answer as soon as you ask it about a specific policy issue sometimes, because I'm going to want to research it. I'm going to want to study it. I'm kind of a nerd sometimes, I confess.
Folks, someone in a focus group, again, told her, you have a reputation for being unprepared, for being lazy, and for not doing your homework. So if you get the opportunity, try and reframe a question and tell everyone how smart you are and land that plane that you're kind of a nerd. The problem is, you've got to back that up. You've got to give it. Time out. Got the perfect answer for you. I'm way too into today's show. The kid's got to calm down. Who's the kid? Two thumbs in this guy's kid. J.D. Vance. If J.D. Vance were to give that answer and say, what's my weakness? You know, a little bit of a nerd. Sometimes I read too much into stuff. And, you know, maybe sometimes I need to speak from the heart or something. I'm not saying J.D. would, and he doesn't speak, he does. I would say if he gave that answer, you'd be like, yeah, okay. Because J.D., every time you ask him a question about any issue at all, J.D., tell us about first to invent versus first to file on patents. Well, let me tell you something. There's a strong case to be made for both. But I think personally, the intellectual property, he'll give you would believe it. The problem Kamala Harris has is this, Washington Examiner, Beckett Adams. To her staff, Kamala Harris is a clueless bully who refuses to do her homework. This is from January of 2022. It's not me. Oh my gosh, you're calling her lazy. How dare you do that? I'm not calling her lazy. Her staff's calling her lazy. And she proves it every day because she can never give an answer on anything. She doesn't look like she knows anything because why, guys? Because she doesn't. She doesn't actually know anything. Now, I made an executive decision here. I think my team may disagree, but you tell me in the chat when I'm done. I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm taking a quick break. And on the other end of this, I'm going to play a 1:52 clip. That's rather long. We try to keep them like max to 1:30. It's the last piece from the town hall last night, but I think you need to see it in these closing days. This describes the Kamala Harris problem to a T. She is asked an easy question, a direct question on the border. She has an opportunity to save her entire campaign by saying, you know what? Stopping building the wall was a mistake. There was a border problem during our administration. I acknowledge it. We're going to move on. We're going to fix it. I'm committing to you right now, looking you in the eye. We are going to reinstitute some of those plans. Even if they were under the Trump era, we want to see what works. She had an opportunity. I want you to listen to this 1:50. I didn't cut it anywhere because this is the Kamala Harris problem. She doesn't know anything. The things she doesn't know about, she pretends to know about. She doesn't even pretend well, and she comes off like an idiot every single time. You'll see it after I play this. Tell me if it went too long. I really like your feedback because I don't want to do it again in the future if you don't like it. Quick break and I'll get to it. Hey, Beams Dream Powder. You having trouble sleeping or staying asleep? Listen, I've been there. But guess what? There's hope on the horizon. With Beams Dream Powder, it's a game changer. It's been a game changer for me. Here's why. When you're sleeping, I mean, you guys know this, but when you're sleeping well, but deeply, a nice, cool, dark room with a little Beam Dream Powder that tastes amazing, You feel better the next day. You're sharper. You're ready to tackle the day. A lot of those other sleep aids out there, they cause the next day grogginess. Dream has a powerful, all-natural blend, though, of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. It helps you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed like I am today. Right now, Beam's offering my listeners exclusive early access to their cyber sale. It's the biggest sale of the year, and my listeners can shop it early before anyone else. Get up to 50% off when you visit shopbeam.com/Bongino and use code Bongino at checkout. You've been hearing me talk about Dream all year. You know I love the product. It's your chance to finally try it for the lowest price of the year. So head on over to shopbeam.com/Bongino, enter code Bongino, and unlock your early access. That's shopbeam.com/Bongino and use code Bongino for up to 50% off. Sorry, I said shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for up to 50% off. All right, back to the show. I'm going to play this. Again, it's about 1:52, but this answer sums up the Kamala problem. She cannot save herself. She doesn't know anything. When she doesn't know anything, she engages in word salads, like Axelrod said. They never leave anywhere, and she never answers a question. And that's why people are moving away from her in droves. Watch this disaster.
Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember, Donald Trump said Mexico would pay for it? Come on, they didn't. How much of that wall did he build? I think the last number I saw is about 2%. And then when it came time for him to do a photo op, you know where he did it? In the part of the wall that President Obama built.
But you're agreeing to a bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border. Yes, I am. And I'm going to work across the aisle to pass a comprehensive bill that deals with a broken immigration system. I think Jackson's question, part of it was to acknowledge that America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made, which is we need a president who is grounded in common sense and practical outcomes. Like, let's just fix this thing. Let's just fix it. Why is there any ideological perspective on this? Let's just fix the problem.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything. I just talked about that wall, right? We just talked about it. He didn't actually do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
I want to strengthen our border.
Now, just quickly, because you guys in the chat and ladies out there, the show is about you. Too long? Yes, too long. No, it isn't. Bongino, on the case if you could. I just think in the closing days of the election, you needed to hear that entire thing. The reason I play the whole thing is Anderson Cooper, who lets no one mistake for a conservative. This guy probably throws darts at Donald Trump pictures every day. Yes, thank you. Good. I'm glad you agree. Even he can't believe she can't answer a simple question. Are you going to build a wall or not? And that's why I ended it where I ended it. He asked her for like the third time, are you going to build a wall or not? And what does she say? I've told you where I got a security. She can't answer a question. She is an idiot. And the thing is about this clip too that I love, I don't know if you guys caught it. There's an epic cell phone in this thing. Not cell phone. Self, S-E-L-F, own. At one point in the beginning, she claims, I'll take ideas from anyone, Democrat or Republican, or they're good. She then goes and makes fun of Donald Trump because, yes, acknowledges he did build some of the border wall that he said he was going to. She acknowledges it. And then she says, and then he did a photo op near a section Obama built. Oh, so Trump didn't have a problem with a wall when Obama built it? Even if that's accurate, it's the biggest cell phone I've ever seen. So in other words, Trump likes the wall, whether it's a Democrat or Republican. You just said the same thing and then made fun of him for being bipartisan. Again, it's one of those things, if you follow politics like I do, you pick up on the subtleties of how this woman doesn't even realize she's stepping on her own unit. She can't get out of her way. This is the worst candidate we have ever seen run for president. Folks, she is a moron. She is unlikable. She has the lowest social IQ I've ever seen. And I'm telling you, on election night, there is no way they surrender this race easily, because it's the end of her political career. If she was handed on a silver platter a nomination she never got a single vote for in either the original primary or the primary that never happened in 2024, handed $1.6 billion of money. They've raised a fortune. Handed what she claims is this great Biden legacy to this day, and she gets destroyed as essentially an incumbent, which rarely happens. Rarely happens. I mean, if she gets destroyed, incumbents lose. But if she gets destroyed, i.e. like Jimmy Carter style, folks, her political career is only going to be as Jimmy Carter, the female Jimmy Carter. She will be a laughing stock forever, and she knows it. You have to start asking yourself questions now. It's go time now. Cutesy time is over. It is time to execute and vote early and in person. If you're annoyed by this, I'm sorry. Don't watch the show then over the next 12 days. Because my job right now is to say it so much you want to vomit when you hear it. All I care is that you do it. My daughter just sent in her mail-in ballot. She has to vote absentee because she's away at college. I have been harassing everyone. Vote early and in person. Someone in the chat, if you met me out there, what's the first thing I said to you? Are you voting? Hey, you Dan Bongino? Yes. Are you voting? I drive people crazy. Vote early and in person. Because the question, is it bad enough, I believe is starting to lean in the yes direction. I want to show you coming up next, Chicago. Yes, Chicago. I'm on the air there on the great WLS on the radio. One of the biggest blowtorch stations in the entire country. I get a lot of feedback from Chicago. Is Donald Trump going to win Chicago and Illinois? No, he's not. Is Donald Trump going to perform exceptionally better than any Republican in the past? Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I got the receipts to back it up. I want you to watch this resident coming up next. Absolutely torch the communist mayor, Brandon Johnson, there with a Trump hat on. This is some classic stuff. Stay tuned. This will put a smile on your face. Last break. Hey, number one question I get from listeners is, how can I get in a fight? Join the parallel economy, right? It's critical to know where your dollars are going. A lot of these credit card companies funnel millions to left-wing causes and candidates. They hope you don't notice. But now you have a choice. Coin, C-O-I-G-N, is America's conservative credit card. Find them at coin.com, C-O-I-G-N.com. With every transaction, you help Coin advance conservative causes and charities at no cost to you. Coin empowers us to take back our country with every swipe. It's a great-looking card you'll take pride in using. It's bright red with a We the People on the front. Coin works everywhere Visa's accepted. It comes with a 100% U.S.-based customer service team and consumer protections. It's the only card worthy of your wallet. Start earning cash back while fighting the liberal agenda today. Apply now at coin.com, C-O-I-G-N.com. Be sure to select the Dan Bongino Show, please. In the How Did You Hear About Us section, we really appreciate it. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details. And our last sponsor today, Blackout Coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, start your day with Blackout Coffee. I love Blackout Coffee. I have about 3 cups a day. Right after the podcast, I jet downstairs. I get about 5 minutes between this and the radio show. What do I have? Yes, Blackout Coffee. Why? Because they love their customers. And the owner, John, is the greatest guy. Loves the country, too. Blackout Coffee uses premium-grade coffee beans. A lot of folks don't even know what premium-grade coffee tastes like because we got so used to drinking this crap brown water bitter coffee. Blackout Coffee is bold. Tastes like actual coffee supposed to take, but it's never bitter. I recommend it. It's the official coffee of the Bongino Army. Folks, I love this stuff. Please, this is one company. They are really amazing. They love the country. John's been doing an amazing job, and I promise you the coffee's amazing. Try the cinnamon French toast flavored coffee if you want your taste buds to explode. The folks at Blackout Coffee ship within 48 hours of roasting. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino and see what I've been raving about. They're the real deal. Stop drinking woke corporate junk coffee. Those people hate you. Blackout Coffee loves you. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Bongino or use code Bongino for 20% off your first order. Make the switch to Blackout Coffee, the official coffee of the Bongino Army. Now, I'm wearing the Dan Bongino Is It Bad Enough shirt today, right before the election. My daughter, everybody in the chat, give a big shout out to my daughter, Isabel. Went to her first political rally yesterday, drove all the way from Auburn to Georgia with her friend Ashley, and they went to a Donald Trump rally in Georgia, and she called me this morning and said, Daddy, she calls me Daddy, melts my soul, folks, like wax on a candle. There's no greater sound. That's how I know there's a God. That kind of love, you can't. Why do words like that? When she says, Daddy, I had the best time, it melted my heart. It just melted my heart. I was so proud. She went and she said, Dad, Donald Trump is amazing. For her to get involved, I'm sorry. I sound like a proud dad this morning. Give me just some, I'm sorry, folks. Maybe why I woke up so excited. My daughter called me first thing this morning. She even got up early to call me. And she's like, Dad, thanks for getting us in. I appreciate it so much. She said we had such a great time. She saw Tucker there last night. And I'm just so proud of her. She voted, folks. She voted too. Is it bad enough yet? She had her Is It Bad Enough shirt on, and a bunch of people came up to her and said, oh, we love the Dan Bongino show. And she said, that's my dad. Oh, man, see? Oh, sappy. That's the only job that matters, man. That's the only job that matters. You get that right, your whole life is good. You screw up your kids, man. Everything else is shit. We can have the #1 podcast on planet Earth. I'm sorry, your life's going to be shit. She was so proud. The 2 guys from FSU came up and they were like, oh, we love Dan Bongino. And she was like, that's my dad. So she took a little selfie with him and sent it to me. And I said, send my regards to the boys. But I did know that FSU is having a little bit of a tough season, just like Auburn in football. So thanks, guys. And thanks to the lady who said nice things to my daughter, too. Is it bad enough yet? She had this shirt on last night. Folks, you watch this clip out of Chicago of this Trump supporter. In Chicago, female black Trump supporter. Why does that matter? It doesn't. It only matters because the left told us if you're black, you should be voting Democrat. Really? Why? Sounds kind of racist, doesn't it? I mean, people who are black don't think for themselves? Is that what you're saying? Sounds kind of racist-y. Check this out.
You're running the city to the ground. We've asked you over and over again to stop with the spending. We've told your cronies to stop with the spending. They won't stop you. They're letting you run ragged in here. They're letting you run the city through the ground. They won't stop you. So because of that, you've given us no choice. We got to go to the federal level. We got to go to Donald J. Trump.
That's right.
He's made it clear what he's going to do. See, I got to have some help. I got to have some help. I can't let you and Cook County and the city take what my mother worked for and left for her children. Just because you feel like it, just because the Democratic Party think they all that, like they untouchables. This is America. You bring these people over here that's from socialist countries and all this and that, and y'all think y'all gonna run that here. Say that. Black America said, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
The true white Americans are saying, no, you're not. The true Latino, the true Asians are saying, no, you're not. I'm telling you, Brandon Johnson, from my heart to yours, Trump 2024.
I don't know who that woman is, man, but I'm proud of you. Jessica Jackson, is that Jessica? We never met, but I got to tell you, man, I'm proud of you for standing up. I'm a little emotional today. I think what my daughter just kind of got me in, but I mean in a good way. Like I'm really, I just feel like the country's about to change. I feel like we're going through something like an Ellie, an extinction level event. You ever see that movie Deep Impact? You know, the guy gets caught on the phone talking to Ellie, and the wife thinks he's having an affair with Ellie, and he's the president's national security advisor. He's talking about the asteroid, the comet that's going to take out Earth. Ellie was extinction level event. I feel like we're looking at an extinction level event for censorship, for the mainstream media and their communist bullshit, for the fascist weaponized deep state. I feel like we are just 12 days away from us, hopefully, if we execute and we do the right thing. I feel like we are just 12 days away from all being a little bit of, what's her name, Jessica Jackson? We all got a little bit of Jessica Jackson. It takes a lot of balls for Jessica Jackson in a city like Chicago, where you are surrounded by not just leftists, but the most hardcore of leftists, the BLM Antifa types. And to get up there when you know even people in your own community are going to look down on you, and to speak the truth to power. Man, I got to tell you, I have never felt better about an election. And I'm not going to let them steal this, man. Folks, the black community has had enough of this bullshit. The Spanish Hispanic community has had enough of this bullshit. The Cuban community, the Venezuelan community, the Puerto Rican community, the Arab community in Michigan, the Jewish community in New York and elsewhere, in Florida, in other states around the United States. They have had enough of the bullshit. The Asian community is tired of being discriminated against in college and being told they're white adjacent. Parents around the country who may have voted Democrat are tired of having their kids told it's okay to read books about oral sex and have their nuts cut off, and then hiding a fake gender transition from the parents. They're tired. I am sensing a sea change. I know you see it too. And the receipts are everywhere. It is now time for us to just execute. Everybody has a plan, as Mike Tyson said, until what? Until what? Until what? Until you get punched in the face. You're going to get punched in the face. No, not actually, not literally, figuratively. You're seeing it yesterday. Dan, why aren't you mentioning the fake Trump stories that came out yesterday? Because they're not worth your time. I told you a bunch of bullshit was going to come out, and it did. I met Trump in a locker room 47 years ago, and he touched my pee-pee or something. Everybody's like, what? What are you even talking about? What are you even... Folks, the hoaxes no one cares. Why are we not talking about them? Because they're hoaxes. They're hoaxes. You're gonna get punched in the face, figuratively speaking. There's an easy way to prevent it. You know what it is? You guys have any idea? Just put your hands up. That's it. Rather get punched in the hands than the face, right? That's it. Execute. Execute. You think I'm making this up, that there's a sea change out there? Folks, I'm going to play for you now an MSNBC panel. Again, Dan? You sensing a pattern, folks? This is only what, Guy? The 10th one of these we've played? CNN and MSNBC, maybe more? Maybe more than 10? Trying to not speak hyperbolically. This is about the 10th voter panel, minority voters, that CNN and MSNBC's put on. You don't find it a little weird that these communist networks cannot find a panel of black or Hispanic voters where the majority of the panelists, or even a few of them, support Kamala Harris? I thought we were told the black vote, the Democrats own the black vote. No, they don't own shit. Watch this disaster for the lefties, not for America. This is great for us. Check this out.
For me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy. Right. Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president
That's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes. Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for a truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
This is the thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient. Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. when she sworn into the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view is, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
Folks, I'm not telling you Kamala Harris ain't black. I'm not. Kamala Harris's father is black. I don't care the racial categories. I don't care if she's black, Indian. It doesn't matter to me. I don't judge people by racial criteria. It doesn't. Kamala Harris sucks because Kamala Harris sucks. Kamala Harris doesn't suck because of some, racial criteria. That's the very essence of racism to claim that. But I'm just telling you, like, Kamala Harris being phony and inauthentic has created a narrative I didn't put out there. People see it. They sense her as fake. That she'll try to relate to any community she'll relate to by using 6 or 7 different accents just because she wants you to believe she's down or she's one of you. Or you don't have to be. I mean, think about it, right? How is it that Donald Trump resonates more with the black community when he's as white as the driven snow and he's a New York billionaire? The answer is because he's not fake. And people in the black, Hispanic, Asian, Jewish, Arab, and white community just want a genuine person. They don't have one in Kamala Harris. Folks, it is all falling apart for them. All of it. Their firewall has collapsed. Young voters. My daughter said there was a ton of under 25s there yesterday at the Trump rally in Georgia. Black voters. It's falling apart for them on the left. The game is over, man. The gig is up. Latino, Spanish, Hispanic voters. I don't even like these categories. The Cuban voters and Venezuelan voters and Puerto Rican voters and voters from Spain share very little in common other than a language. That's it. They're not the same. It's not a monolithic block. They're all going in the Trump direction. Look at this, a Bronx barber shop. My friend Lawrence Jones has been doing great on Fox and Friends. Love Lawrence. Lawrence gets it, man. Lawrence understands the black community because Lawrence is black. He doesn't pretend to be anything else. He doesn't need to. He goes into a barber shop in the Bronx with Donald Trump. Dan, this happened a week. I know, but it only fit right here. Here's the Bronx barber guy, a place where these guys would have never envisioned voting for a Republican in the past until Donald Trump came along. Here they are talking about things Kamala Harris just won't address, like inflation and the cost of energy. She's busy filibustering, telling you how she's such a nerd. Watch this segment that went viral from Fox and Friends. Check this out.
My issue was more the energy. I've been paying $2,100 since I first opened up. In the last 7 months, it shot up to $15,000. What?
That went nuclear because even Donald Trump doesn't believe it now. Because, again, we don't do bullshit on the show like the left-wing media. Trump is Hitler. He eats little children for breakfast with a Diet Coke and some bacon. Okay? Con Edison, which is the energy company, deals with me. I know Con Ed for short. If you know New York, you know Con Ed. It's like FPL down here in Florida. Con Ed has said it was a billing error. Fine. Maybe, may not. I don't know. I'm not this guy's energy manager or his intermediary. That's not the point. Whether he pays $15,000 or he paid $2,000, now pays $4,000, everything the guy said about energy bills and inflation going up is true. Maybe the numbers, maybe it was a billing error. I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't make the problem go away. Trump's sitting there like stunned that this guy's getting just raked over the coals with his energy bill, and every American sitting at home who's paying now $3 plus for gas instead of $180 under Trump, or paying twice the energy bill, twice the rent, twice the insurance, is scratching her head going, yeah, bro, I feel that, man. I feel that. This cat's 100% correct. Folks, the communist media is going to do their best to try to repair the damage in the coming days. They're going to give up at some point, though. If this continues to get worse, at some point you're going to see recriminations. I promise you. Listen to your boy Dan. I am rarely wrong on this shit. I'm telling you right now. Over the next few days, there's going to be a last-ditch IV infusion of vitamins and minerals to the Kamala Harris campaign. It's going to be a series of Trump hoaxes. I saw Trump transform into a werewolf in London when he was a teen. It's all going to come out over the next few days. If they were real stories, you would have already heard them. Immediately dismiss them as liberal left-wing fantasies. They're already falling apart. Okay, we get that. I can almost guarantee you by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, if these polls continue to degenerate and the fake Kamala momentum completely collapses and she does a couple more horrendous town halls like this, folks, they're going to start preparing for defeat. She's not going to, Kamala Harris. They're not going to concede this thing no matter what. I'll be stunned unless the media pressures them to, but they're going to try to save her. You're going to see more of this. Watch this CNN clip, and I'll show you. Watch the CNN panel totally melt down. This is what I'm talking about. There's now a very credible story surfacing, being reported by the Daily Mail, that Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, and it's an allegation, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. I actually believe in that, of the lefty scum out there. However, the allegation is that Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman, could be the first gentleman, God forbid she wins, smacks some woman in the face. Now, she's now coming out again saying he hit me so hard that I turned around. Now, we were told by the left, believe all women. She's now doubling down on this story. That story comes out. The left wing completely ignores it. Yet a story surfaced yesterday so ridiculous on its face that, oh my gosh, Donald Trump tried to grope someone or something. No one has any evidence it's actually true. It's another Russia collusion hoax. And the media was like, I don't know, there could be something, even though nobody's seen it, nobody's heard it, nothing. Watch how Scott Jennings is handled on CNN, the Republican commentator, when he even brings up this believe all women Doug Emhoff thing. Check this out.
Bakari, I listened to your entire filibuster. If you could just give me 13 seconds.
I'll give you 12 because he said grab him by the...
And so when you think about the things he has said in order to sell those records, and you also consider some of the questions that are swirling around Harris's own husband in this regard.
Oh, my God. Okay, you don't even get 12 seconds. I'm not going to let you go into the far end of BS.
I'm just telling you.
Scott, you can't go. Listen, I can't represent you in the defamation case.
We're gonna stop here for a second. All right.
I can't represent you in a defamation case? He's a news commentator reporting on a public figure who has an allegation that has now been reported by a credible media outlet. What's the defamation? He didn't say it was true. He said it was an allegation, exactly which is what it is. But notice how they'll happily report on Trump said 100 years ago, well, he wasn't even born 100 years, doesn't matter. He said he loves the Nazis or something. Oh, really? Who heard him say it? The barber bought a bagel from a guy named Tony, who's a dog walker for a dude named Angelo. And Angelo's cousin's brother heard it from the foreman on the job, who heard it from his wife, Alicia. Oh, shit, that's definitely true. See, notice it's not defamation then. This is what's going to happen. You are going to get figuratively punched in the face over the next few days. Just put your hands up. How do you put your hands up? You don't magnify this stuff. I didn't mean how you actually, we're talking in figurative terms. Don't magnify it on Twitter. Just simply point out hoax in all caps. You don't need to do anything else. Another hoax, that's it. Nobody believes it. Nobody buys it. And I want to show you, because receipts matter, how the left-wing hoax, commie, agitprop, North Korean scum media is now melting down because their latest Trump Hitler hoax or whatever, it's all bullshit, just collapsed. Jennifer Rubin, one of the most pathetic human beings on planet Earth, a woman who, how she is still employed in any job is just stunning. She's known for being spectacularly wrong on the major political stories of the day, is losing her mind. What is wrong with the media that the John Kelly Atlantic Hitler story is not dominating? They simply don't understand the stakes, or they are intent on currying favor with the MAGA gang. It's a disgrace. No, Jen, you're a disgrace. You're trying to parrot another hoax by an outlet known for parroting Trump hoaxes. You work for a paper that has already parroted a number of repeatedly debunked bullshit things, and now you're just breaking down. And I'm going to tell you, the shout and fraud is real. I know it's not great, but I am enjoying the glorious meltdown of the left. It's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad that who do they bring out to parrot this Trump? How many times are you going to call this guy Hitler? I mean, you've been doing it for 8 years. It is clearly collapsed and fallen apart. How bad does it have to be that you bring out John Brennan, the Lord of the Eastern Territories of the Russia collusion hoax, a disgusting filth bag human being who I'm telling you, if he was on fire, I wouldn't piss on this guy to put him out. He is an absolute life loser. This guy has destroyed the country, has abused nearly every position power he's been in to promote collusion hoaxes and destroy faith in the intelligence community. A disgusting garbage pile. Have I said enough? How bad does it have to be? There we go. They got him now. Good one, Guy. Look at that. Mostly Peaceful memes. By the way, that's a great account, at Mostly Peaceful. You should check them out. That's really cool. Check them out. That is a yes. Total. That's it, folks. They nailed them now. They nailed them. That's evidence. Total receipts. Trump, Hitler. Definitely. 100%. You guys nailed it. That's it. That's what you... I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's freaking embarrassing how a party that embraces the death to Israel from the river to the sea, we love Hamas, Hezbollah, has dared to claim that we're the party of Nazis. Are you shitting me, bro? Here's John Brennan out there parroting the Hitler hoax, Russia collusion champion too. Check this out.
This is not surprising at all. We have seen this continuous pattern over the course of many years of Donald Trump endorsing individuals such as a Hitler, disparaging the U.S. military, advocating for fascism, which is what John Kelly said, that he is fascist. And just like Mark Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who said that Donald Trump is fascist to the core, it just demonstrates that Donald Trump is not interested in promoting our democratic system and our values as Americans. And so therefore, I find it absurd and appalling that so many Americans are willing to just dismiss these comments. And the undecided voters that are still out there, I think they really need to take this into account. When you have individuals such as John Kelly and Mark Milley saying this about Donald Trump, is this the country that you want your children and grandchildren to grow up in? I certainly hope not.
Imagine trotting this piece of filth out, this filth bag on MSNBC to parrot yet another conspiracy theory and then wondering why the campaign has collapsed. I want to show you how bad things must be. If Kamala Harris, if you watch yesterday's show, who's starting to sound more like Hillary Clinton, and Obama's one of his worst moments was the bitter clinger moment, saying, oh, you cling to your religion and your guns, basically calling Americans who work for a living losers. It was one of Obama's worst moments. It should have impacted him deeper than it did, but the mainstream media tried to apologize for him. How bad does it have to be that Obama is out on the campaign trail and he did it again? Hold 1 second. I need to finish. My last time, I promise I'm not going to ask you again. But we're doing really, really intense quality improvements for Rumble. We want to make this the premier home for video, for discourse, for live chatting, and the chat matters to us. We got. Let's see. I'm working, says I can't stand Brennan, me either. So me being able to interact with you in the chat matters. We love Rumble. I love Rumble. Chris is the CEO. He needs a favor right now. Last time I'll ask. I don't want this to be annoying because the people on Apple and Spotify are listening, but I really need you to break the chat. We couldn't do it the other day. We need to load test it before election night. I know I joke around. I don't care what you put in there. A number, a yes, a no, a Y, and N. It doesn't matter. Just put something. Everybody out there, we're the only show big enough. We're the biggest live stream in the United States every day. We're the only one, the Bongino Army. I'm serious. That's a statement of fact, not opinion. I need you to break the chat. Everybody go in and just decimate that. I don't care what you put in there, but everybody comment and do it all at the same time. Because if there is some kind of little bug on some little device somewhere in a corner of Iowa somewhere, we won't find it. Because election night, I want this thing to work seamlessly. So bang it out. Destroy it. Destroy it. Keep it going. Wreck it. Wreck it. Wreck it, Ralph, kids. Wreck it. Wreck it. Wreck it. Destruction. Destroy it. Shred this thing to pieces. Make this thing, I want my phone. Oh, look, on fire. I want this thing on fire. He's got the fire extinguisher in his hand right now, getting ready to launch. I want my phone smoking. I want wires at Rumble smoking. I want people's computers breaking. I want Chris sitting there going, smoke coming out of his ears. Blow the chat up. Blow it up. Blow it up. Make sure it's still not broken. Chris, you're doing too good of a job. Break it. Break it. Keep breaking it while I play this clip for you. Folks, Obama did it again. Obama's back again with the bitter clingers. How bad does this thing have to be internally for them? Check this out.
I don't understand how we got so toxic and just so divided and so bitter. And I get why sometimes people just don't want to pay attention to it. And we all have friends like that. We have family members who just like, it's all a circus out there. I get that.
Here it is. You're all bitter clingers. I get it. It's all a circus out there. You're all bitter. We're not bitter. Who's bitter? Who's bitter? John Brennan sounds bitter. Jennifer Rubin sounds bitter. And we're not bitter. We're not bitter at all. We didn't have that great a midterm. We got right back. We dusted off. We're right back with another election. We love our country. We're not the ones bitching and moaning. If we lose, we're leaving the country. I'm not leaving the country. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. I'll get ready to fight in the midterms. I'm not going anywhere. You're the ones who are bitter, Obama. It ain't us. You're bitter, not us.